Now then, Pat Nevin, so chance of Sarri Ball coming out from Stamford Bridge on Monday night, and Chelsea fans are certainly a decent cohort of them joined United fans singing "You'll be sacked in the morning." Chelsea officials, according to the Times today, taken aback by the hostility of the crowd to Maurizio Sarri. This thing is catching fire, isn't it?
Yeah, I have to say, at the game, I was pretty taken back as well. Chelsea fans generally don't do that. You remember what they were like with Conte in the final days? They didn't turn on the manager. They didn't even turn on Mourinho while at the ground. Yes, there was complaints on social media, online, etc. When do you not get that? But at the grounds, it wasn't happening. And even at the Etihad in the 6-0 game, there was none of that at all. However, by half-time in the game against Manchester United, the frustration had boiled over and they were booed off the park. And that really is quite unusual for the Chelsea fans. So when the Chelsea hierarchy say they were taken aback by it, they're not making that up. That's that's incredibly unusual. I think you have to go back to maybe ABB, the last time that was heard down at Stamford Bridge. So they're not really like that. So that's a massive effect very, very quickly. I think it's been building up for a while. And I think it's just the frustration that a number of things, that everyone has been talking about, Jorginho in that position being the controlling influence or not. Obviously the Kante situation, which most people seem to want him to play in that position instead. But maybe more than everything else, the lack of adaptability. The fans consistently say to me the same thing. It just changes like for like. You know that if Kovacic goes off, it's Bartlett's going to come on.
Yeah.
You know if Pedro goes off, it's Willian that's coming on. And the only time he surprised anybody was when they brought Zappacosta on the other night for Azpilicueta as the final substitution when 2-0 down. That was a surprise. Didn't get down very well right enough.
No, wasn't the best PR move. I mean, everybody knows in that situation you throw on the striker just to make it look like you're having a go.
Not if you're Sarri. That's just not his way. And we've all got used to it now that he will not change. He's incredibly stubborn. Now, stubborn isn't always a bad thing. You look at Pep Guardiola, he was really stubborn through that first season. But he's losing a lot of the capital that he built up in that first half of the season. And it's losing quite quickly. They're not scoring a lot of goals just now. Away from home, it's been pretty awful, particularly against the top sides. And even though, if you look at it in as positive a light as you can, and I'm doing this purely, for devilment, they're 1 point between them and Manchester United and Arsenal for the top four, so it's still tight. Okay, their form's not good, but it's still tight. They're in a cup final next week, or on Sunday. They've actually, if they beat Spurs in the game after that, suddenly it looks actually not that bad in the league. But the likelihood of them getting through the Europa tomorrow night, which I think they probably will, and winning that cup final, and beating Spurs, I think there's not many people betting on that, to be fair.
No, it feels remote. Not to overly dwell on the Sarri Ball chant, but it is kind of interesting to tease something like that out, because you could dismiss it very, as a kind of an anti-intellectual, frustration, protest kind of a thing. Like, I think there is just a sense that people feel they're being sold the emperor's new clothes here, that they've had misgivings. These are fans who I suspect go to lots of football matches, who have seen Kante, for instance, perform brilliantly, who have seen good football, who know their football. And they've had misgivings about what Sarri's doing, but they've had the whole Sarri Ball thing rammed down their throat, And I just think they've almost reached the end of their tether with it. And it was almost like a collective moment of going, do you know what, actually? We've been told all this nonsense about Sarri. Well, F that. I can see what I'm seeing with my own eyes here. It doesn't work. He's just doing the wrong thing.
And yes, that sounds like the feeling that there is just now. Now, let's be fair to Sarri. He's not the one that was telling you it was all working well.
Yeah.
So it's not Sarri that's saying that. There was that long period at the start of the season where they were winning all those games. They went on a fantastic run. And he continually said the same thing. It's not right yet. There's nowhere near this being ready. This is not what I want to do. There's not the players I need. It needs a lot more work. Now, to be fair, he was absolutely right about that. And it would take a long time, and it does take a long time to do something that extreme. The difference is, and the analogy which I've used and many people have used, you had to give Pep Guardiola the time. And a lot of people weren't giving him the time at the start, but they gave him the time. And some of us, because we could see it. We could really see where it was going.
Yeah.
And at the moment, it's really difficult to see, with the group of players that he's got. It's not that they're bad players, but a lot of them are just not suited to that specific style. And also because of the similarities it's got as a possession-based game with Liverpool and with, the likes of, Man City, obviously, it's just a long way behind. And it seems like a long way behind that needs a lot of work and a lot of time. I'm just not convinced that the Chelsea fans want to, put up with that amount of time. They're also used to a bit more excitement. Push it on the last 15, 20 minutes. Many teams, if you're 1-0 or 2-0 down, but you have a right go at the end, score a goal and all pretty exciting and lumped in the box. It kind of eases it a little bit because you can feel it and see it and you can take part in it and you can vent some of your frustrations, supporting the team as well. But that kind of doesn't happen with this inverted commas Sarri Ball. They just keep on playing this kind of intellectual type game. And if it doesn't work, then we're half an hour to go in a game against Manchester United. I was doing co-commentary on it, and I didn't think it was going to work. Maybe 10, 15 minutes into the second half, you're looking at it thinking, they're creating the odd chance, they've got lots of possession. Chelsea had 66% of the possession in that game. Right. That's having no effect on you either, is it? Or me, or indeed the Chelsea fans. They have had enough of it, and they want a little bit more of a go. And you can absolutely understand. There's another thing, the Hudson-Odoi thing, which for me is not, I'm not really buying that one at all, but it's another one that's kind of lighting the candle for them because the Chelsea fans are saying, bring him on, he'll do the difference. I mean, kid's 18, good player. Yeah. He's almost certainly leaving Chelsea anyway. You're going to annoy Pedro and Willian and all the players that want to stay there to put him on before you. I'm not sure that's absolutely right. And he's not really done it against the top teams. I think he will, and he's got a great chance of it. I think that's a wee bit of a red herring, that one. Yeah. The other stuff, no, absolutely. It's getting to a crescendo and it's getting to a critical mass now.
Yeah, it feels that way. And look, of course, there is something admirable about somebody who has their principles and a philosophy that they believe in and want to stick to it. But stubbornness really is the word. Kind of a cheap question, but given the talent in the squad, is there a quick and easy formation that would improve things dramatically?
I think if it was me, I would be seriously tempted quite to play 4-2-3-1. Chelsea have played that before and it's incredibly successful. Surprise, surprise. That gives you Kanté back in there in the defensive midfield position, standing beside Jorginho, and you've got three attacking players in front of that who can do what they like and one up front. It's worked for Chelsea incredibly well before, and I think every chance it would work again. It would allow your wide and your attacking players, your full-backs as it were, to get forward as well because of the cover. And there are a number of things you do. Oddly enough, when you looked at, or when I look at Manchester United under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you look at the amount of adaptations he makes in that team. Yeah. I mean, the amount of different systems he's played. Now, you look at all the way through it, and including Pep Guardiola, he will adapt the system for certain situations, be it other teams, be it what he's got available. So it's hard to look through that many football teams that have been incredibly successful that never, ever, ever change a thing tactically. Yes. Unless you are constantly being successful. And that's the thing that's getting to them.
Yeah, I would think so. So can you explain something to me then? Really, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3 and 4-5-1, in my book, are all basically the same thing depending on where the ball is and what kind of calibre of opposition you're up against, Why can't Sarri live with the 4-2-3-1?
Because it's based on purely possession. It's not based on a defensive ethic at all. So if you got 4-2, that's basically two defensive. There are two that'll cover. And the three and the one are beyond that. Can kind of basically go and attack. Yeah. Those six at the back, you can sit there. You can play there. You will budge, but not that much. Whereas with that system, we have 3 and a 1. All 3 of them can go and attack. So say you had, if you were Chelsea, you had almost certainly Hazard as the middle of that 3 attacking. You suddenly got Hazard attacking from wherever he likes, but you've also got a Pedro and a Willian alongside trying to create chances for the likes of Higuain. Now, suddenly that actually just looks and sounds more attack-minded. You've got one more attack-minded player on the field, but you're also more defensively set up because you've got 2 people sitting in front of your centre-backs. Yeah. And that, to a lot of Chelsea fans, it makes so much sense because it also solves the problem of N'Golo Kante not playing in what is his favourite position. So, they're looking at that, as you rightly say, football fans are not stupid. They're looking at it and thinking, We played that way before.
Yeah.
It was incredibly successful. Mourinho had the success under it. Why don't we at least try it at some point in the game? I mean, a lot of people are shouting for get Giroud on alongside Higuain and lump it into the box. And that's another possibility. You know, it'll be a cold day in Minsk before Sarri tries that one. Certainly not a hope and that one going to happen. But that's the kind of the feeling there is at the moment. And it's coming to that period now where, you know, I've been at all the games recently for complicated reasons. I happen to be at all the games. And it's getting to that time you often find you're now ticking off competitions. That's one gone.
Yeah.
FA Cup's gone. Europa League will still be in that. I'm absolutely convinced of that after tomorrow night. But obviously, against City, the likelihood is that one goes as well. I mean, it's not beyond the bounds of possibility. Remember, Chelsea have actually beaten City 2-0 this season anyway. But that was a different type of City team and on a different form as well. But after that, they play Spurs. And if we lose against Spurs, almost certainly Manchester United or Arsenal will get away. You're ticking off the competitions now really, really quickly.
Yeah, it's an expensive time. Appreciating everything you said about the formations. In a 4-2-3-1, say it's Kante and Jorginho, surely that doesn't prohibit Jorginho from getting on the ball lots and being a part of possession lots and still playing a possession game. Like 4-2-3-1 is not a non-possession type game, surely. I mean, this is what I'm kind of failing to see.
Me too.
Okay, good, okay.
So I'm playing devil's advocate. Remember, sometimes when I talk to yourselves or sometimes in radio, I think it's clear what I'm saying to people who are listening. Look, we all know the argument. I'll give you a devil's advocate. I don't necessarily agree with it. I wouldn't necessarily do that. We've all got different opinions on how we would do it. Now, my specific one would be I would move it to that because it seems suited to the group that you've got there. You will get the best out of. You will actually get those three players. You know, William or Hudson-Odoi, Pedro, and you will get Hazard all on the pitch at the same time, feeding a guy, Higuain, who scores when you give him chances. And to me, I think that sounds all right. You know, it sounds quite good. It's kind of simplistic because it won't then be a kind of his version of Sarri Ball because it's all about angles, positions, and something more complex than that. But if it ain't working, it ain't working.
Well, we know what the Chelsea fans have to say about Sarri Ball, Pat, so that should...
Well, you never know, to be honest. Chelsea fans, if they did win the game against Spurs, as I say, if they got maybe just, you know, you got beat 2-1 against Manchester City and, you know, in Wembley, I mean, that can happen to anybody. They're a damn good side. But if they beat Spurs and they're back up and they're in the hunt and in the top four, you know, and by the way, many will know, but some won't know, the antipathy between Spurs and Chelsea is absolutely extraordinary. That would give them a massive lift. And the important thing is, and I keep on going on about this Spurs game, it seems as if it's unimportant. It's not. It's utterly vital. And for the simple reason, the next 5 games that Chelsea have got after that, Fulham, Wolves, Everton, Cardiff, West Ham, all winnable in the league and a chance to go in the run, which leaves you with 2 questions to ask. If you're going to change the manager, you wait till after Spurs. Because the next guy gets that run. If he wins that game, he's got a 5-game run where he actually has got a right good chance again. So that I think it all depends, not in the Europa League, not in the Man City game, unless Chelsea get battered out of sight with them embarrassingly again. It's actually down to Spurs. Yeah,
it's a great point. It's very delicately poised, isn't it? Very last question.
By the reason why that's the case, I think that's exactly what Manchester United done with Jose Mourinho.
Totally. It's the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer run, that you gift the new manager. Very last question. Did you rate Sarri very highly before he arrived at Chelsea, and has the lack of adaptability tainted him in your eyes?
Rate highly. I often like managers that play football, that entertain me, that I like artistically, that create lots of goals, and they might not win things. I quite like them guys. The last season's game between Man City and, you know, Napoli, it was hilarious. You know, nobody's defending. You know, to use a phrase, the cry was no defenders, and there was none, and it was mad. And there's a bit in me that loves that, and I kind of just go out and entertain me. I love that sort of stuff. I'm not running a football club. I'm not having to win. I'm wanting to be entertained. So I know that I'm different in that I put entertainment sometimes actually above winning things. I'll do that. But I know that I'm unusual. B, I'm not running the business just now, and see football fans want to win above everything else, or at least a lot of them do. I did like Sarri.
You mentioned the I guess adaptability is the word if we're using that one. The adaptability of Solskjaer thus far at Manchester United. So it was Matic and Herrera and Pogba and Mata in a diamond on Monday night, which seemed to do the trick in many respects. We were impressed with Manchester United.
Yeah, I was dead interested in that. You talk about the diamond there. They sometimes play 4-2-2-2, which is quite an unusual one, used by Brazilians many times in the past. But what he tends to do away from home is leave two up front. And, you know, the normal thinking is, you're away from home, tough game, one up front, playing the break. He doesn't. And it's a really clever tactic, not that often used. And it's working. Whether that's going to keep on working in the long term, because people will suss that out, that he's doing that all the time. But that adaptability and getting the best out of those players, I think is absolutely fantastic, and it's been brilliant so far. It's really hard to see any massive faults. And even against PSG, it was just a better bunch of players it was playing against. Nothing more than that. You know, you sometimes that it won't happen to you against players that are playing really well. So that ability to do that, change it, knowing what is needed, getting the best out of Pogba, that's obviously phenomenal as well, because that wasn't happening before. But it was a wee technical thing more than that really impressed me against Chelsea. Everybody knows if you stop Hazard, you generally have got a right good chance of stopping Chelsea. Chelsea played against him. Hazard got the ball. He always had minimum 2 players marking him. Minimum.
Right.
Sometimes it was 3. Now and again, it was 4.
Right.
And they'd all been schooled so well to crush every bit of space. And that's not a fluke. That was Solskjaer.
Yeah.
Well done, him.
Okay. Interesting. On Pogba, by the way, seeing as you were there at the stadium doing co-commentary, when you watch on TV, say for his header goal, for the second goal, and he's put the ball out wide and he's starting this long stride towards the penalty area, and a cross is going to come in. It is amazing how every other player in your eye line just disappears, and you were just watching Pogba inching towards, not inching actually, it's the opposite of inching, making, rampaging his way into the area where the ball's about to arrive. And it's like, I'm watching him because nobody can stop him. I mean, this is just unstoppable force here, and there's no immovable object coming the other way. I'd say when you're in the stadium and he's making one of those runs, it is just one of the most impressive athletic things you'll see, allied to all the technical brilliance we know he has.
Yeah, there's very few players that are capable of doing that. It's a gasp moment. I call it a gasp moment. You go, whoa! And there's a few doing it. And they're all French. Because Mbappe does that. Yeah. Mbappe does it all the time. There's a moment where you're high up in the stadium and he does something with his pace, and the whole place who's watching him just goes, oh my God. And he doesn't even need to be on the ball. He's doing this thing where you just think, well, that's unstoppable. With the physicality that he's got as well, Pogba getting into that position, timed it so well. There's been a lot said about him. He got man of the match. Yes, he made one and he scored one. And people saying, oh, he dominated the game. No, he didn't. He did not. He did well. He was against Kante and it was tough for him. But in the big moments, he did exactly the right thing. And his intelligent play defensively was magnificent as well.
Right.
Dominating the game, he absolutely didn't. He didn't need to on that occasion. He just needed to do it at the right times. And his timing was phenomenal with it. So, yeah, I thought he was really, really good. I thought at moments he was absolutely brilliant. But as you say, I think it's bordering unstoppable when he does that. And any defender, it's really hard because remember, they're running backwards. So they're running backwards, having to get in a position. Yeah. It's the worst situation. The cross was fantastic as well at the right time. It was a great goal, it was a great play, and it was a brilliant tactic.
So I don't know if you caught any of the game at Anfield last night, but we are... did you? Great, okay. Well, you can give us your thoughts on that and then segue us into Manchester United-Liverpool at the weekend, which is just going to be fantastic. Liverpool haven't won at Old Trafford since 2009. So for all the ills of the last decade, United are generally okay-ish at Old Trafford against Liverpool. But 0-0 against Bayern last night?
Yeah, it was kind of a thing. It was different phases of the game, wasn't it? Different ways that it went. There was periods where Liverpool were creating chances and looked really, really lively. But the way this thing was taken out of the game brilliantly by Bayern, playing out most of the time. Most of the time they got it right, not all of the time. Yeah. But they held possession for long, long periods and a really clever side. I still think Liverpool can do this. I really do. Just because Bayern are going to have to come on to them, and you've always got, the Firmino Salah thing attacking. They're going to have Van Dijk back. That's going to make a big difference. The one thing that really disappointed me on the night, and it was one player, and it was actually Mane. Now, to be fair, he got himself in good positions. He had a few chances, and well done getting into those positions. But there were 2 or 3, and specifically 2 occasions, where he should have been drawing the fullback towards him and laying it off to Robertson, who had 1-on-1 with the keeper, and he went for the wild shot. And I'm just thinking, Salah doesn't do that. Firmino will not do that. And that was the difference. That moment where that ball needed that right pass at the right time, fell to the wrong guy. Mane's a super player, but he's not like the Silvas, he's not like the Salahs, he's not like them. And I think it was his inability to do that. And the reason why it stuck out, there's loads of players that don't make that mistake and get it wrong and are a bit greedy at the wrong time. Lots and lots of players that do that. There's not many at Liverpool that do that. There's not many at City that do that. And there's very few at Manchester United that are doing that just now. He needs to get that sort of thing right. Because against the likes of Bayern Munich in the Champions League, limited chances. Don't do that. He knew that play, that pass was on. And if he didn't, well, he's not good enough.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see what Solskjaer springs against Liverpool on Sunday.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. I was talking to some people. I was in Chelsea today. We were talking about getting teams at the right time. And Chelsea hit Man United at the wrong time, but everyone's hit Man United at the wrong time because it is their time. And for Liverpool, it is a stinker of a time to get Manchester United, who are fighting, battling. This is it for them. I mean, good luck with the FA Cup, but they need to get top 4. They can smell the top 4. And I think they put everything into this game. They've got a great chance of winning this game. If everyone's fully fit, it's going to be great. And I think another open game. I don't think it will be one of those dull wins that we've had in the past. The 0-0s where they cancel each other out. Mourinho ain't there. It's not going to happen. So I think it's going to be an absolute cracker of a game. It's really, really hard one to call. I really wouldn't want to call it just now.
Yeah.
It's just going to be a good open game.
No, it absolutely will. Listen, great to talk to you as always. Thanks a million.
Looking forward to it. See you soon.